So I've had instances where the leaders are not open for change.
Mm,
I can't do anything anymore about that.
mm,
There are instances where you can sense that they have built um, there's resistance in
mm,
silos
mm,
in different organizations. One of my epic failures, and this will never happen again
mm.
because it did in one of my sessions. Two managers were fighting in
Oh
front of
gosh!
everyone
Oh my gosh! You mean like openly in class?
openly, and I was less
Oh.
experienced, honestly, back then. I didn't know
Mm,
how to handle these
mm,
situations.
mm,
And if I can just go back in time, I would have handled it differently.
mm,
And that's not just one time. Now I've had sessions like that where, because of my experience, also having those epic failures, I've handled them much better and
mm,
found avenues where they can talk about these things more openly.
mm.
In companies, we think that harmony is a lack of conflict, but a lack of conflict is a sign of a lack of trust because
Yes.
there's no progress without conflict.
Mm.
I love this definition by Patrick Lencioni, the five dysfunctions of a team. He said that conflict is the passionate pursuit of truth.
Good day. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. And today it's season 15, episode 10. And what an episode it is because today we'll be talking about the unique personality types of leadership. And in this particular episode, we will have our guest, Jayson Lo, who will be talking all about it and more. Jason, could we hear a little bit more about you?
Hi, Dina. Thank you for having me. It's a joy and privilege to be here. I am an author of four books, one of which is The Unique Personalities, which comes from the study of William Marston in the 1920s, the DISC profiles, DISC, and I
Oh.
actualized it for a Filipino setting. So I'm also a speaker. I do talks for kickoffs on motivation and trainings. So that's what I do. From being a businessman, this is where my calling led me.
Wow, that's awesome. And I know you've written quite a number of books as well, no? I think they're all about the you, the unique you. So tell us a little bit more about what makes unique leaders. There are several types of them or several classifications of them. What are they?
Yeah, in terms of leadership, there are trains of thoughts that would tell you you should focus on your strengths.
Okay.
But for leaders, there are many instances we need to adjust to the different circumstances and the people we work with. So
Hmm.
it's not really prudent advice to just focus on your strengths. You have to look for the strengths of others. You borrow them, and then from there you build your team. Because as a leader, as we're starting in our organization, or for example, you're an entrepreneur, you are tasked to do maybe around 10, 15, 20 things all at the same time, from
Right.
customer visits to deliveries. And then from there, you grow your team. So there will come a point where you will be focusing on just 3 to 5 things that you are really good at.
Hmm.
Because contrary to popular opinion, companies do not need well-rounded individuals. Companies need well-rounded teams. So
Ah.
looking for people whose strengths are your weaknesses. But as a leader, you know how to adjust to these different types of people. So to your question a while ago,
Mm.
the four types, the DISC, are the dominant. And this is my contextualization. I used the animal eagle. Four animals that are popular here in the Philippines. So there's the dominant eagle. The I stands for influential, the influential rooster. And then the steady, the S, Carabao, the steady Carabaos, and the C, the corrective Tarsiers. So those are the four types of people, the four types of behaviors, which can also lead to the 8 dimensions of leadership, the styles where you combine yours and also a secondary type because most people are two personalities. You have the dominant, the primary one, and then the secondary one. If you combine that, that's another dimension.
Oh, that's really interesting because your use of animals as analogies to the different types make them more picturesque and easier to recall. Um, just as a quick question, how do you differentiate, say, the unique technology or the unique model for personality differentiation from, say, the others out there? For example, the MBTI or the classical DISC.
Yeah, I'm also certified in other disciplines, and all of the instruments are good. It's where the application comes in, how you apply it. So sometimes it's too technical, and sometimes it's just too shallow. So I guess mine would be there in the middle so that it can be used as a vernacular for different groups in the organization, from the CEO to the janitor, they understand it. And again, the contextualization. For example, with the classical disk types, I have read so many books on disk. I have actually been certified by three different groups on disk. And I have reached the point where in my mind, I'm arguing with the author already. I don't think this is the right thing. I don't think this is the right application. So I guess it's all of those and combined with my experience, which adds another element. But until now, I still learn. I still read books on MBTI. I'm also a strengths coach from Gallup, and also the other disc books, which I enjoy. I enjoy.
Those tools really are quite fascinating. I remember
Mm.
the first time I encountered the MBTI. I was surprised even to learn that it was a mother-daughter team and not a pair of psychologists who formulated it. They were into marketing. Um, and when I encountered the Enneagram, which was fascinating with its 9 dimensions,
Yeah,
I said, okay, I find it interesting, but it'll be a bear to try to explain it to a layman.
exactly. Exactly.
Not to mention when you administer it as a test, good luck.
Ah,
So,
yeah.
di ba?
So
So,
I guess one advantage would be to focus only on four, and
yeah.
then once they get the hang of it, now comes in the mastery. Because when you look at assessments and study them, what's important would not only be the knowledge, that's the first thing. The second thing would be the capacity, how knowledgeable and how do you use it. But the third one would be the most crucial, which is the willingness. You know it, but are you willing to apply it? And it requires a lot of humility, accepting that others are different from you so that you can adjust to them. In fact, I use this in my talks as my opener. It's quite interesting when I ask them, especially if they have kids already. Do they love their kids equally if they have two or more kids? And then everyone would raise their hand, even those who are having second thoughts, who they would give the parachute to if the plane crashes. But they would all raise their hand, and then I'll ask another question: Who among you treat your children equally? And then most would raise their hand again, and I would tell them the first one is correct. You should love your children equally, but the second one is wrong. You should treat them differently. So the golden rule applies to universal principles like love, joy, and peace. Treat others the way you want to be treated. When it comes to people, it should be another rule instead. I borrowed this from the Platinum Rule, another disc book, and I tweaked it a little bit and called it the unique rule. So it's to treat others the way they want to be treated. So that's the whole framework of it. So we can serve them better. You lead them better because you're leading them the way they want to be led. In sales, you can also use it. You can sell to people the way they want to buy. So it's they, not you. So you can be part of, in a way, to serve them better.
Jason, that is your experience with these many tools, and you're creating a new one is one of the signs of not just maturity but of transcending what is available. Um, I recall such an experience when I looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and realized that I disagreed with part of it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, because there, remember at the very top, there's the need to actualize,
Right.
but just before that, I realized, shouldn't Maslow have added man's need for variety?
Mm,
Just before that, because I said to myself, something has to be added there to explain why a dude who's married to a Miss Universe type of a person happens to have two or three others who are not as pretty as the one he said yes to. I'm so like, why does that happen? Well,
mm,
maybe because there's the need for variety. So part of me thought, if he had to rewrite that pyramid, he really ought to put that in there.
mm.
But
Definitely.
that leads to debates with other psychologists. So I'm with you in that when you looked at these other tools, you did something beyond what they present, because you also have us looking at weaknesses,
Mm,
and to approach it with the willingness to acknowledge that we do have them, and to become open to hearing, so what do we do about it now? So
yeah.
Jason, when you use this with your clients, with your organizations, could you share with us some of the breakthroughs that occurred or that they experienced?
Yeah. Knowing the four types actually will help people become more aware. I call this the triple A model: aware, accept, and adapt. So aware of who you are, your strengths, including your weaknesses. To note, our weaknesses usually comes from our strengths overused. If you're aggressive, that's a strength. But if you overuse it, it becomes a weakness. And also our strengths abused or misused. And the second would be from awareness. You accept who you are, you accept who others are, and knowing that instead of looking at differences as a sign of lacking harmony, it's actually a way for us to celebrate our differences. Because with differences, we can do so much more, knowing that we also have different strengths. And then the third one would be to adapt, adapting to the different people around you, the situation, and the event. So some breakthroughs would include one session I did for a hospital equipment company. The owner is a good friend. That same day, she called me and told me, Jason, thank you so much. We have two managers who haven't spoken to each other for 5 years. They just spoke after your session, and tomorrow we'll have our strat planning. I think this will be very helpful to us.
Mm.
Another one would be sessions where a group of been together for 20 years. First time they saw their leader cry. Very strong, dominant leader. First time saw him cry. So since he was crying, the wife cried also. And then for the first time, he explained why he's like that, why he's strong. And you can see the room changed immediately, the atmosphere, and also the way they see their leader, human element,
Mm.
where now they understood. And now it's not just leading with instructions and with a strong hand, but he's also leading them by sharing part of what's inside of his heart. So
Mm.
things like that, because I believe that that's why I really hate the word soft skills. I
Yeah.
hate whenever companies would ask me, "Can you do soft skills on this?" Because we do mostly technical skills. I would correct them politely. I would tell them, I don't, it should have been called core skill, not soft
Right.
skill, because most
Mm.
business problems are people problems in disguise.
Mm.
Most business problems are people problems in this time. So I call it soft skills. When it's the soft skills that can close the deal, when it's the soft skills that can lead to lasting relationships. So it should be called core skills. And
Mm.
I guess the breakthrough would be on that people side. That sometimes we take for granted, but sometimes most of the time rather, it's more important than
Mm.
a lot of things that's happening in the company.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us, Jason. And for our viewers, I just like to let everybody know that Jason is unique in the sense that he's not just a lecturer, a workshop facilitator. and an author. He's also certified with emotional intelligence as a coach. So add that to his being an author, to being a personality typing facilitator, but he has this unique ability to read people and to assess their emotional intelligence. And so if you're looking for somebody to hire to help your organization experience the same breakthroughs he just described, please reach out to him. You won't regret it. Jason, a question. What has been your biggest challenge whenever you start talking to people about the need to explore their weaknesses? Because I'm just imagining you probably ran into some people who were in denial, or or really didn't want to talk about what makes them weak.
Yeah, I've had some epic failures also along the way. Well, as an entrepreneur, I had my own businesses in the past. One of my biggest mistakes was to over leverage, to handle at one point four different businesses all at the same time, that which led to my downfall back then. So what I teach would be part of my own experiences.
Mm,
Now, I thought I knew best already because of those experiences.
mm,
But even though in certain scenarios, usually it's the same story with different faces.
mm,
But then the application and the way you find solutions to their problems are mostly different because of our different experience. Diba? Sa mga companies, laging challenge yan. Yung mga, kunyari, all the time this happens. Sales and management, yan yung friction. Mostly, yan yung bottleneck. Tapos, yung mga bottleneck about, for example, I had a meeting a while ago. They're in sales. But when it comes to selling, the KPIs that they focus on is just selling.
mm,
And they have a mismatch, or they think that KPIs and KRAs are synonymous, which they're not
mm,
dahil may mga overlap. So, nangyayari, it's really about people pa din.
mm,
So, I've had instances where the leaders are not open for change.
mm,
I can't do anything anymore about that.
mm,
There are instances where you can sense that they have built um, there's resistance in
mm,
silos
mm,
in different organizations. One of my epic failures, and this will never happen again
mm.
because it did in one of my sessions. Two managers were fighting in
Oh
front of
gosh.
everyone
Oh my gosh. You mean like openly in class?
openly, and I was less
Oh.
experienced honestly back then. So I didn't know
Mm,
how to handle these
mm,
situations.
mm,
And if I can just go back in time, I would have handled it differently.
mm,
And that's not just one time. Now I've had sessions like that where, because of my experience, also having those epic failures, I've handled them much better and
mm,
found avenues where they can talk about these things more openly.
mm.
In companies, we think that harmony is a lack of conflict, but a lack of conflict is a sign of a lack of trust because
Yes.
there's no progress without conflict.
Mm,
I love this definition by Patrick Lencioni, the five dysfunctions of a team. He said that conflict is the passionate pursuit of truth.
oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And it's also a mark of how much you've grown, because all great speakers, all great authors and facilitators, people who've achieved much in their lives, did so by making mistakes along the way. As Dr. Dennis Waitley once said, failure is the fertilizer of success. We don't grow if we never experience them. So for our viewers, please, if you are thinking of a career in HR and becoming like Jason, and becoming a speaker, a coach, a facilitator, don't be afraid to fall flat in your face from time to time. It happens to the best of us. And
Mhm.
in Jason's case, it has made him much stronger, wiser, and Now, very much in demand. Jason, I hear that you're also doing coaching now or individualized communication training for leaders in organizations. Did you happen to do that for, say, people who were running for public office by any chance?
Great question.
No need to mention who.
I do. I teach a program called Never a Dull Moment.
Mm,
And it's about learning how to speak like a professional speaker.
mm,
And this is different from other institutions, which are also great in what they do. But mine is more focused on how you can really use what professional speakers use
mm,
and apply it in your own setting. So for politicians, I did a couple. I taught a congressman, had
mm,
one-on-one with a mayor, and then there's one group where the congressman's there, the mayor, the vice mayor, all of their counselors.
mm.
We started at around 8 a.m. We finished at around 10 p.m.
Wow.
At the onset, I asked them all to give their pitches because
Okay.
their goal is to present as a team, which
Mm,
only happens in campaigns
yes.
because you go on stage as a team. So just imagine the 10 plus councilors would speak, and then the congressman, the vice mayor. What would happen if one of them goes overtime for like 20 minutes and the
Oh
mayor will
my.
be speaking at the end of the program. So they have to,
Mm.
and then some of them are even sleepy already
Oh my.
listening to their colleagues. So I
Mm,
asked them all to give their spills, and it took like more than an hour to do that for each
mm.
one. And then I called the one of the counselors. I think he was the fourth or fifth who spoke. And I asked all of them, do you still remember, natatandaan niyo pa ba yung
Mm.
siner ni Consi? Lahat tawanan, palakpakan. Sabi ko, can you hear the aircon? And then everyone went silent. And we heard this noise. So
Mm.
that's what happens. It becomes white noise, background
Yes.
noise.
Yes.
People don't notice anymore.
Mm.
So now I gave them a framework how they can deliver their speeches in such a way that immediately they will get capture the attention of their audience and engage
Mm.
with them. So that one counselor is he won 3 times already. He's actually a great speaker, but his 10 minute speech, he turned it into like a 3 minute speech, and everyone gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah, I would. Oh my goodness. So if somebody out there is running for public office or thinking of, please look Jason up because he will set you straight so that you have more impact and you're more engaging as a speaker. Because I think if I get what Jason is saying, we need to be more engaging because otherwise we end up as white noise. So, Jason, going back to your description of unique leaders, is there such a thing as the ideal leader, or is that more of a situational thing? It depends on the industry, it depends on the circumstances, or is there like somebody who could be?
Um, I guess the closest would be what Jim Collins in uh, Good to Great called the level 5 leader, someone who has a strong will and yet has humility also.
Mm,
But to your point, yeah, there's no such thing as the best leader, but there's such a thing as the best leader in that situation.
mm,
So I guess the best leader is someone who creates leaders along the way
mm.
and who have this ability to call upon those leaders. I have heard this somewhere. That's the problem with, or I think you experience this also. I assume we
Yes.
read so many books, we want to credit the authors and once we get because we've we've encountered so many. I heard this somewhere. I forgot already who I got, but
Mm,
it makes a lot of sense. He said that leaders are not born, leaders are not made,
mm.
leaders are called. At one point, someone called us to leadership. That's why we became a leader. So I guess that's the best quality of a leader, someone who can create leaders and someone who can summon leaders and show them that, hey, you can be a leader also. This can be your calling. Uh,
Mm.
we assume that leaders are strong, they have strong personalities, they're flamboyant, uh, but they're not. There are different types of leaders. You can see leaders who are so quiet, but then they're so much effective
Yeah.
where they. Um, but I guess another quality would be the flexibility.
Mm.
A leader is flexible. Contrary to popular opinion,
Mm.
leaders who changes their mind often are leaders who are questioned. But that's not the case. Leaders who are willing to change their mind
Ah,
because they heard new ideas. And I love the session we went to. In fact, the session we first met.
that's right.
Yeah, that the term there used was be an I don't knower. I love that so much.
Mm.
Be an I
Yeah.
don't knower.
Mm.
I watched this show, Monarch, the new Godzilla TV show, and there was a group of scientists who were discussing because scientists don't assume things; they need
Mm.
proof. So one of the scientists said that the three most beautiful words are the words I don't know.
Oh, that's true. I'm sure even people like Neil deGrasse Tyson would agree with you, because if there's one thing that scientists will tell everybody is that the more we know and discover about the universe, the more we know that we don't know. So, which really gives truth to the saying that. Um, it's a never-ending journey. We're always growing. We're always learning. Einstein famously said, "He who stops learning stops growing, and he who stops growing is dead." So, um,
Yeah, yeah.
we're bound to discover new things about ourselves, about our leaders. Um, so let me ask you, Jason, what does the future hold for Jason Law? 2024 is coming soon, so
Yeah.
anything happening soon?
You know, most of my clients are B2B with businesses. And this 2024, I want to do more B2Cs, meaning do more public events.
Mm.
So stay tuned. I'll be doing two workshops. One would be on the unique personalities for you to discover the language of success, what
Mm.
we discussed a while ago, so that you can treat others the way they want to be treated. And then the other program would be on the speaking program, the never a dull moment. Utawa in speaking and deliver your speech like a professional speaker. And when I
Mm.
say professional speaker, those who are paid to speak, because it's
Mm.
a lot different.
Mm.
You're very particular with the time. You're very particular with the needs of the company. So it varies.
Mm.
Sometimes you would have countless meetings with the client before you deliver a 1 hour speech.
Mm.
So those things that I have learned along the way. By the way, I've been speaking for 23 years.
Wow.
I started when I was 2 years old.
Woo!
Uh, 23 years, but only 11 years professionally.
Okay.
11 years. So I've been speaking because companies would invite me,
Mm.
school or some friends. I don't get anything from it. It's not nga pro bono, it's abono.
Yeah.
Okay. Ano, hindi ka naliro.
Sarili mong
And love to
pamasahe.
learn.
Mm.
Masahe, di ba? Kulang pa. Kaya
Yeah.
until now, I still go to seminars. And in fact, I
Mm.
even ask you to teach me on voice, right?
I'd
And
love to.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And that's what I believe the future holds for me this 2024 to do
Mm.
programs like that.
Mm.
And stay tuned. And I hope to meet you one of these days.
Yeah, and as soon as I see a poster of it on Google, I'll post it in on the show as well, so that as you describe it, it'll flash on the screen.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
So, Jason, um, how do people reach you when they want to engage you? Like for example, 2024, everybody's going to go to Strat Plan towards the last few days of this month, and budgets will be set aside and discussions will be made. Um, if they wish to call upon you to run some of their needs, or help them meet their core abilities. Hindi na soft, no? Talagang core skills. Yan. Where will they find you? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on FB?
Yeah, you can search me I'm active on Facebook, IG, Instagram,
Okay.
TikTok. I don't dance, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
I
was
might lose
about to
a few
ask.
followers. And LinkedIn. So that's Jayson Lo, JaysonLo. And you can also email me at info@jasonlo.com, especially for kickoff, because I'm writing a book right now. It's gonna be my
Oh.
fifth. The title of the book is The Motivation Switch, Capturing the Magic of Self-Motivation. Uh,
Wow.
this January, I'll be doing some kickoffs for some companies, because if you get a motivational speaker, not really the motivation that you want. It's to teach your team,
Mm.
your company how to be self-motivated. And that's what I would be teaching them. Um, yeah.
That, please let me know when the book launching will occur. I'd like to be there and interview you again on the spot, because I would love to have the world know more about the power of motivation from your perspective, uh, to help them reach their goals for 2024. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you liked what you heard today, please do leave some comments on the comment box, because our guests do love to hear from our audience, and interact with them. And also, don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe, because you don't get notified unless you do. And for our next episode, we will take a short break and introduce episode 4 of a sister show called Tip Talks, where we analyze and do a deep dive into some of the great speakers and speeches throughout history. Remember, we just finished Barack Obama's victory speech. Coming up next will be the speech made by Cory Aquino in 1987 before the US Congress. So, as ever, please remember that learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day. Thank you so much, Jason.